Hey everybody, I'm Chef Tom with atbbq.com, and this is Barbecue Meatballs with Cheese Grits. Well, we are fully into comfort food season, and this one fits the bill. Barbecue meatballs made from scratch, served on top of a bed of cheesy, creamy grits. Let's get into it. So we're gonna start with kind of a unique little technique here to keep our meatballs really juicy. What we're gonna do is basically make some concentrated beef jello. So I'm gonna pour out a couple tablespoons of beef stock. We're going to sprinkle on top of this a packet, about a 1/4 ounce of gelatin. That's gonna get all gelled up. The rest of this beef stock we're gonna bring to a boil and then whisk it into the gelatin and beef stock. So we've got beef stock here. It's gonna go into the skillet. We're making a 1/2 cup batch, which is going to include 1 tablespoon of our Butcher Barbecue Prime Dust, which is essentially just powdered beef stock. So what we're doing here is we're making big time beef flavor in the form of jello that we can work into the meatballs to hold our moisture. That's come up to a boil. We're gonna pour it over the gelatin that's kind of blooming in here and just whisk this until it's totally incorporated. And this is the only part you kind of have to plan ahead for this schedule, for this recipe, I should say. You want to go give it a good 3 hours or so to solidify in the fridge. Luckily, I planned ahead, so I've already got one made from yesterday. Check this out. One big old blob of beef jello. Our meatballs are going to be composed of 3 different meats. We're using ground beef. This is Creekstone Farms brisket blend. We got a 1/2 pound of that. We got a 1/2 pound of 80/20 ground pork, and then we're going to do a 1/4 pound of bacon. We need to break this down in the food processor. This is an easy way to add a little salty, a little smoky to your meatball. Let's chop it up first, then we'll throw it in the food processor to break it all the way down. Doesn't take long, but it always throws a couple little pieces up top, so you gotta kind of scrape down the sides to get it all broken down. Now, once it starts walking around the outside of the edges, you know that that's pretty well broken down. Now in the bowl of a stand mixer, we're gonna combine our ground bacon, our ground beef, and our ground pork. Also add the remaining ingredients for the meatballs. We've got 1 egg, about 3 tablespoons of panko breadcrumbs. We're gonna do a 1/4 cup of our Bovine Bold beef seasoning, and about 3/4 cup of Parmesan. And then using the paddle attachment, we're just gonna beat this until it starts to kind of stick together. Should only take about 30 seconds until it starts to kind of clump up, and that's the consistency we're looking for. So once you've got a good mix on the meat mixture, we're gonna add in, kind of gently at the last minute here, our beef jello. Now we don't just wanna plop this whole thing in here, it won't mix in very well. So what we're gonna do is take a chunk at a time, gonna push it through this little mesh strainer. It's gonna break it up into tiny little pieces so you get tiny little pockets of beef stock mixed into the meatball. So now we'll kind of slowly fold that into the mixture. Now we're gonna form our meatballs. We're doing about 1 1/4 ounce for each meatball. So get it portioned, roll it up. If you're working in a warmer environment, you want to let this chill for a little bit, but it is like freezing outside, and here we are doing what we're doing, so we don't need to take a break just yet. Meatballs are formed up now. We're gonna throw these in the fridge while we start the grits. Now we're gonna get started on making our grits before we get the barbecue meatballs onto the grill. I'm adding 5 cups of water to our cast iron Dutch oven, and we're gonna bring that up to a boil. Water is boiling now. We're ready to sprinkle in our grits. We're using the white grits from Marsh Hen Mill. This is the good stuff for sure. Now this is stayed at a simmer. We want to keep it at a simmer, but we are gradually going to be reducing the heat over the next 45 minutes to an hour until the grits are tender. So we got the meatballs on a wire rack now just to make it easy to get them on and off of the grill without making too many moves here. We're just gonna hit the tops of these with a little bit more of that Bovine Bold, same seasoning that went inside the meatballs, a little bit for the surface. Today we're cooking on the Yoder Smoker's YS640S pellet grill. It's running at 250 degrees, so that smoking range with hickory pellets. Just pop those right on top and give them a spin probably in about 20 minutes. The grit's been cooking for a little over half an hour now. They're totally softened up. You can see how thickened they've gotten, but we're not done with these yet. All we've gotten here so far is grits and water, right? So it's time to add the cheese and the cream and really make it something special. So in a separate pot, we're gonna bring up to a simmer some heavy cream and some milk. Also wanna add a couple tablespoons of our pit fire hot sauce. So our milk and our hot sauce has come up to a simmer now. We're gonna remove this. We're gonna bring back our grits. Pour those right on top. Let's get this worked in here gently. And then we're gonna add our cheeses. So we've got some Parm Reg that's going in there, and a little bit of sharp cheddar as well. And this we can kind of just let it sort of simmer away as it thickens up. And then we're just waiting on meatballs. All right, cheese grits are back up to a simmer. Everything's hot, so we're gonna do finishing touches now. A couple tablespoons of some butter to finish this off. And we need a little bit of salt in there. So we can turn off the heat now, just throw a lid on that, keep it warm. The meatballs are almost done. Just over 45 minutes, our meatballs have come up to 160 degrees internal. We're ready to pull these off. So we're gonna throw these into a mixing bowl now because I wanna hit them with a little bit of barbecue sauce on the outside. I've warmed up some Big Rick's Chipotle barbecue sauce. This is a solid one for sure. You don't need a lot, just enough to get the outside coated. All right, let's plate it up. Throw some grits down in the bowl. Gonna top them off with the barbecue meatballs. I think 3 is a pretty sweet number here. A little extra sauce on there. And I'm gonna finish it off with just a little bit more hot sauce on top. All right, let's get a bite. Let's get it. Wow. That meatball is super tender, still super juicy. And despite the fact that we have bacon and pork in there, it feels like a beef meatball, but it's probably just a good blend of the 3. The sweetness on the outside of it does fantastic contrast to the savory nature of these grits. And these grits are so creamy. It's pure comfort food. I'd go swimming in that bowl. Well, thank you guys so much for watching. Be sure to check out atbbq.com for all the products featured in today's video. If you enjoy the recipe, hit that subscribe button. And if you have any questions or comments, or there's anything you'd like to see me cook, let me know in the comment section down below, and let's be good to one another. For more recipes, tips, and techniques, head over to atbbq.com/thesauce. All things barbecue, where barbecue legends are made.